Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to just cover this article. I thought it was really interesting of a title. I feel like this is like Ozempic drama, Ozempic tea, which is something I never thought I would say. So I was like, let's go ahead and read it together. So the article says, Ozempic is tearing our friendship group apart after our body positive pal started taking it. As warnings are issued over weight loss medication being too easy to buy online, here's one cautionary tale of how it can be abused and what the fallout can be when loved ones raise concerns. Are you guys ready? Let's go. It's fresh. It's from February 5th, so it's fresh. I need to tell you something. It's a drizzly afternoon in Clapham, and B is standing next to a pub table. This is Britishy. It's a Britishy article. It's from The Independent. So they're going to be talking about the pub, things like that, and wherever that is. Clapham, wherever that is. Okay? I don't know. I'm not that good, you guys. I know where a lot of stuff is, but I don't know where that is. I know some things about England, but I don't know that much. Anyways, or the UK, wherever. We looked up at her, packed onto a bench around an outdoor heater, flanked by a sea of empty pint glasses. B is laughing nervously, but she's also shaking. There's a pause. She laughs again. It's not a big deal. In my version, she's going to be Californian, okay? It's not a big deal, but I'm starting a weight loss drug. My friend B is wildly perceptive, utterly dependable, and funny. Her life is the sort of work in progress that most 20-somethings have. She's uninspired by her job as a dental hygienist, wants to earn more, wants to feel further along in her life somehow, but otherwise things are good. She's in a stable, committed relationship with a guy we all like. Her job is secure, and she's great at it, and she has a tight-knit friend group where she is well-loved. There are about 10 of us, both men and women, all in our late 20s, from all sorts of backgrounds and jobs, who see each other a couple of times a month. She laughs again, like it's a kind of conspiratorial joke. It's not received as one, though. As a group, we are all accurately aware of why it's being presented so nonchalantly. Years spent growing up in the early 2000s, has normalized. They always go into that. Gosh. I'm sorry, I'm going to throw some shade. Do you think that half of the articles that people write, like if they were not allowed to mention the early 2000s, which again is 20 years ago, 20, count them. Do you think they'd have anything to write about? Like that's the personal challenge I have, because it's just being so repeated so many times. Anyways, years spent growing up in the early 2000s has normalized diet culture's contagious rhetoric of self-deprecating humor. I look fat in that photo. I'm enormous. Not for me, thanks. I'm trying to be good. But it's more serious than that. We all know that B has had a long, complicated history of E followed by the letter D and body confidence issues, even if she uses humor to hide how much it hurts her. Just before Christmas, B tried to buy a weight loss injection from a high street chain. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I forgot it was British for a second, and then I saw high street, and I'm like, bing! That like my brain was like, this is British. Anyways, from a high street chain. They flatly rejected her. Or should I say, just before Christmas, B tried to buy a weight loss injection from a high street chain. From the high street. They flatly rejected her. The systems that were in place, accurate measurements, providing GP's details worked, and she was turned down on account of not being overweight enough to qualify. The fact that taking these drugs would be harmful was clear and indisputable. Interesting. I wonder how much she weighs and stuff. We were all quietly relieved. It felt like a drastic thing to be considering, especially given the concerns around the side effects of this sort of medication, how it can be abused by people with E followed by the letter D, which I have brought that up. I do think it can, but here's the thing about it. I had some of you guys asking about it or talking about it in the video I did about Rosie. The thing about like Overeaters Anonymous or anything really, any kind of intervention in terms of weight, like if you're very big, if you have the E fall by the letter D, it's going to undermine no matter what you do. If you get rid of it, then there's kind of a lot of paths to getting out of it, to getting out of like obesity. There's kind of a lot of different ways to get out, but it doesn't really matter what you're trying. If you have the toxic ritualistic behaviors, you're probably not going to stay out, and it will undermine anything because you'll kind of play that game with the intervention, and you'll be like, oh gosh, this is like, it'll just become a part of it. It can very easily become a part of a cycle and become a part of a narrative within the disorder. So you need to fight that. I'm not saying it's the only thing you need to do. You can do other stuff at the same time, but you need to fight the disorder because it doesn't matter what you try to do. It will undermine anything you try to do. Okay? That's the same thing in the case with Rosie. She needs to deal with it, get out of it, because then she can decide what's right. And it could just be a simple caloric deficit for her, or it could be Overeaters Anonymous, or it could be therapy. It could be anything. It could be whatever diet works for her body and all that stuff. You know, once you're out of the disorder and you just start looking at things more realistically, then you can kind of do things. You know what I mean? You can kind of do anything because you'll be able to stick to it. Because no matter what it is you're trying to do, if you don't fight that or if you're totally in it, it's going to undermine everything. So it's the same thing with this. I don't know how big B is. I don't know. If B isn't even big at all, then obviously this is a huge issue. You know, I don't think this is a casual decision to be made. I don't believe that. That this medication is something casual. I think it should be a more serious decision that you're making, because when you're adding stuff like that, you want to make sure you're not abusing it. You want to make sure that you're acting in ways to support using it and all these different things. So it's a major part of the discussion of this drug, in my opinion, is doing things that support using it, especially if it's being used for weight loss and you're not diabetic. And I think you need to be especially strict. Okay. I mean, I think you need to be anyways, but that's kind of obvious with like diabetes and stuff. You kind of need to do what you need to do. But I think I believe it could have even more consequences if you're not diabetic and you're using it. That's my opinion. So it's not necessarily fact. Like, I don't know everything about Ozempic, but I just don't think it's something to casually use. That I don't agree with. I think it should be something deeply considered, and you put a plan in place and you do this type of stuff if you make that decision. Okay. Anyways. But after some weeks, she tried again, except this time at an online private company. No doctor's note, just a form and a debit card. And this is where the whole issue shifted from misguided to desperate. B lied to the company to receive these drugs. I don't ethically think it's responsible to detail here how she managed it, but rest assured it was shockingly, laughably easy. A website form with loopholes big enough to drive a tour bus through. It's terrifying. Just last week, the National Pharmacy Association released a statement cautioning the ease and risk of buying these drugs online. It's definitely a problem. It's definitely a problem. This was then followed by the General Pharmaceutical Council issuing new guidelines for the dispensing of them, saying online pharmacies should only now issue weight loss drugs after weight and measurements have been properly verified, which is not to say unscrupulous operators won't be able to circumnavigate the new system. Okay. Despite not being overweight and previously having disordered thought patterns around her eating, B was able to proceed with no end date for the medication, just the goal of losing 25% of her body weight, the highest percentage of weight loss seen on these types of drugs. As her friends who deeply cared about her welfare, it only felt right to intervene. Quietly, we pleaded, sharing our worry, urging her to visit a doctor before taking the drugs. Okay, I think that's fair. We assured her that she was healthy, beautiful, and loved, but no matter what we threw her way, her response was painfully simple, punctuated by 2 quiet counters. This is just what I want, and no one knows what it's like being me. I need to know how big she is. I need to know. Like, it's bothering me that I don't know. The latter was particularly frustrating to hear. Within our friendship circles, there are many extreme health journeys from dysmorphia to EFA by the letter D. Basically, many of us know exactly what it's like, and so our reaction was firmly rooted in care. Though there was predictably a gender divide, the boys mostly were argumentative, one of them leaping straight into righteous fury, another treating it like a heated debate. It also led us to question, do men really understand what she's going through? Would they react the same if B was a man? Could they really understand the relentless scrutiny of growing up as a woman, the feeling of your body being more important than anything else to you, your worth dictated by the number on the scales? Okay, so I will just counter this immediately and say being a woman is no excuse for E followed by the letter D. No, that's bullshit. Period. You know, we have to talk about the scrutiny of a woman's appearance that is real, but it's not just in terms of weight or eating behavior. So if that's the only thing that you're focusing on, that's a problem. It's one thing in a pile of other things. So keep it in perspective and don't let it affect how you're eating or what medications you're using. Like, this is not a good reason to do this. If it's just completely social or there's no health issues going on or there's really no reason why you couldn't just lose the weight without it, like, I don't think this is something, like I said, you should just take just because you feel like it one day. It's not really one of those things. Which, again, there isn't much information in this article, so I don't know what's going on, basically. So there's so much lacking, but all I will say is, remember, E followed by the letter D is not womanhood. Okay? Okay. But the girls were devastated. Spending a lifetime spinning a story of body positivity from the sticky web of diet culture, it felt like our friend's decision was completely contradictory to years of carefully constructed arguments for confidence and self-worth outside of body image. It was the breaking of an unspoken vow that took decades to build. We're all enough, aren't we? None of us were on board with what she was doing. Of course, her body, her choice, but lying to procure a drug that could do her harm for the cost of just under 2,000 pounds. I guess it's 2,000 pounds. Sorry, I'm having American brain right now. Just let me be. I think that's pounds. If it isn't, then I'm an ignorant American. I don't know what to tell you. I'm ignorant then. A year felt like it was dangerous, not empowering. To us, it should be someone's last resort, used as an essential medical weapon against the disease of clinical obesity. Okay, that sounds fair. Life-changing for those who really need it, except here we all were in front of our if she's slim and everything, wow. In front of our perfectly slim and healthy friend, hearing it announced to us like she was someone showing us their wacky new tattoo. Wow. This is where we get into like a lot of different types of questions, because it's like, what do you do in terms of intervention with E followed by the letter D? How much is somebody else's responsibility? How much is the responsibility of the person in it? It's tough. It's tough questions, right? Like, while I do believe E followed by the letter D, it is self-inflicted. I struggle sometimes because there is such a delusional aspect to the disorder that it's like I can understand why some people feel it's not in their control, but it still is. So it creates like a very strange situation. And I've told you guys many times on the channel, and I still feel this way. I have no idea how to intervene. Like, in my opinion, my channel is not for intervention, it's for helping to teach about it and helping to encourage people that have already decided to not do it anymore. I don't know. And I think there's a lot of questions about intervention because if I was in this situation, I wouldn't know what to do because I'd be like, I probably would just tell her, like, you're being delusional. You are delusional right now. Like, and I don't know if it would do anything, but I feel like I would have some kind of reaction where I wouldn't be able to help it, maybe, but at the end of the day, would it do anything? Probably not, and that's a really, like I said, I don't have every answer ever. Like, I can definitely be humble where I need to be, and I don't know. I do not understand how interventions work or how they should work, because especially if you're not trained for that kind of thing. But I even wonder, like, how do institutions handle this? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of questions I have about it, but it's like, what would be your responsibility as a friend in that situation? It's like protesting, sure. Not backing up the BS, sure. Like, those, I would say, those are like obvious. But I just don't know. Because if she's truly like delusional, what do you do? It's tough. Because I feel like with a lot of people who are caught in that and they're really, really in it, they're so resistant to advice, change. The more you push against it, the more they're going to stay in it, right? Like, there's all these different aspects. And I remember it very well, like I said, and I observe it in a lot of people. And it's very resistant to pressures. So it's tough. It's really hard. But I will just say the same thing I said. With these disorders, you often cannot just love it away. And we're seeing that here with the restrictive side. You have to fight it. You have to be aggressive against the disorder. This is stupid. This is stupid. This is stupid. It's stupid. You see, it's tough. But I don't know, if that person doesn't want to change, then what do you do, right? It's tough. It felt clear in that moment. This was also a friend who needed help, something we tried our best to give her. We tried empathy, research, honesty, carrot, and stick. Everyone hoped something would get through. 3 days later, she took the first dose anyways, a dose of a drug that no doctor would ever say was meant for someone of her weight. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so interested in your guys' opinions on this because it's really a blank space for me. Because it's hard because it's not necessarily your place all the time either. Like, because I feel like if it was family, I feel like I would do like shouting match. Like we go into shouting match mode. I think you have to be pretty aggressive. But with a friend, it's not really your place. So I don't know. I don't know. Because I think at a certain point, we have to understand we don't have control over someone else's recovery. We don't have control over what somebody else does. And so I try to keep that in mind for myself. But it's hard. That's very hard. It was depressing. For some, it rekindled their own damaged relationship with their body. Okay, I don't think that that's a good thing. Like, I think that this is toxic, and I wouldn't even go there. Because I think that's something I will say. Like, always remember that your recovery is separate from somebody else's recovery. Like, it's a separate thing. That really helps because you have to protect yourself too. And it's kind of like I always say, like, think of it as you unsubscribed from it and that person is still subscribed to it, but you're still not. And you have to kind of let the things that she's saying kind of just like bounce off of you. But it can be hard for some people, especially if they're early on in recovery or it's like that kind of thing. So I get that, but we can't control the environment or what triggers us, or if somebody says something that's really triggering, like you can't control that. So you have to learn how to cope with that type of thing. And that's my suggestion is think of it as she's still subscribed to it, but I'm not. So create that separation. Because there is very much a hive mind aspect to E followed by the letter D, to the that kind of feedback or not feedback, what's it? I forgot the word. I literally just blanked on the word. Reinforcement. That's what it is. There's a reinforcement aspect to it. So you have to protect yourself from that reinforcement aspect. And that can include, sometimes people will get pissed and stuff at you for it. But yeah, this is pretty sad. The effect of this was so powerful, not least because, ironically, B has always been the person promoting body positivity or jumping into any pub table debate about feminism. Still obsession. So that obsession is always a sign. It's always a sign that something's going on. It's not normal. It's not normal to be obsessed with your body. So that's a warning sign. Or jumping into any poster or that. And so to see her seemingly disregard all of that, it stung and it made us think, well, maybe positivity isn't the answer. Cutting corners is the answer. Skinny is the answer. Okay, well, I don't know about all that. That sounds weird. On the other hand, I understand why she did it. As she explains it, her battle with her weight has been something ever present, stuck to her like a stain she can't unsee. And so she wants a quick fix, a why not, shot in the dark. But I think her psychology around it is much more complicated, much thornier. She sees skinny as the sole doorway toward happiness. That's something that needs therapy. Okay, is she thin or not? Isn't this article weird? Something's afoot here. Something's going on. And it's like, does this person have that kind of delusion too? You see, it's so weird. It's very strange. Very strange. I believe it was right that we voiced our concern, but we might have been clumsy in our approach. Reacting to it feels like a medically induced ED is not something we have the language for or the knowledge. It also seems to scare us much more than it does her. Luckily for B, she is unflappable in a way begrudgingly. I still find it as charming as I do maddening. Sometimes I worry that our anger has meant that we won't hear about the side effects if and when they happen. Though I can't note any obvious difference in her. Some friends have said that since she started taking the drug, they didn't realize how liberating it could be. Weeks later, she's on her 5th or 6th dose, and we are all still meeting for drinks a few times a month with an unspoken tension between the "how are you" and the hesitant "what has changed." Still getting used to supporting someone we love through something so alien to us. I hope we'll learn enough to do our best eventually. Gosh. It's really hard to know what was going on. Just looking at some of the comments. Instead of being good and nice, you should have told her that she needed help and not that she is beautiful, loved, etc. She wasn't asking for y'all to affirm that. She was asking for help. And if she is obese, she needs help. Instead, you do what some women do, fake being nice. Don't tell me to be empathetic. Oh, wow. Screw that. Instead, you should have told her like she had resources, like fasting, exercise, etc. If you all did with genuine care, I'm sure she wouldn't have gone down the path of jabs and put those chemicals in her body. Wow, interesting. I love that it got like a bunch of thumbs down. Someone's like, what a strange group of people. Honestly, I feel like I just read something and it's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, entertain me with your theories of what is actually happening. Because I feel like this is like really confusing because I honestly don't even know. I don't even know. Anyways, you guys, let me know your theories as to what that was. We went down weird mind paths. I tried to engage. Let me know what you think. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.